There is a legend that Jefferson is one of the most haunted towns in Texas.
There is a lot of history there, a lot of tragic history.
There could be a lot of spirits and a lot of energy left with the killings and the hangings pre-Civil War and the curse that Jay Gould put on the town.
Jay Gould was the railroad tycoon. He wanted to put the railroads through Jefferson.
But they didn't want to bring the railroad into the town.
So he was very angry. He stayed at one of the old hotels and actually wrote in the registration book that it would be the end of Jefferson, Texas. He said that grass would grow in the streets. And it did go from a population of about 20,000 people down to 2,300 people, which is what it is today. My ghost story began when I was conducting a tour through the Pride House in Jefferson, Texas. Pride House is a 3-story Victorian home. It was built in 1868. It's a homey-looking location, and yet you get that very hollow, that very eerie feeling there.
Being the owner of the Pride House, I spend quite a bit of time there. But I actually live in the carriage house behind the main house because the main house is so creepy. I don't want to stay in there by myself. There's been so many things that have happened. I have seen apparitions, I have heard voices, I've felt things touch me, doors opening and closing. There's been a lot of things that have been moved in the house. There were curtains pulled down out of the windows, Christmas ornaments that were down the hallway that there's no way they could have done that on their own.
The previous owners really tried to keep their stories about the activity quiet. They were afraid that it scared people away.
One night I actually heard my name called, and they were singing my name. And I got chills up my back. It was Jenny, and I about came out of my skin. I quickly went out the back door, and I did not go back into the house till it was daylight.
Jenny got a professional paranormal team to follow it to see what was causing it.
They did actually catch a disembodied voice on the audio that said John Bender. John Bender was the second owner of the home.
One of those nights, Jenny called me and she said, "We've got another EVP. It's like a constant thing. There's so many." And, oh goodness, I mean, just think about it now, just makes your hair stand on end. They had asked, "Is there a little girl here?"
Are you the little girl with the long, sandy blonde hair?
And you can hear a child's voice over and over repeating, "I am, I am, I am." It's like, you know, they want somebody to acknowledge your presence. Very, very creepy.
I've heard music, I've heard whispering that you can't really make out what they're saying, but it's a conversation between people. And it's just very unnerving.
I tend to be the skeptic in the bunch, and we were in the middle of a tour in a bedroom in the upstairs, and a heavy drawer in an antique bureau actually pulled out and opened about this far. So it wasn't just me that experienced it, but it was everyone there on the tour that experienced it. And you know, logically, the first thing they think is it's something that you've staged. But I think they could tell by my expression and my reaction that no, it was definitely something that was not staged. At the Pride House, it's an intelligent haunting. The ghost can communicate and respond to you. I would almost say if you go in and go, anybody here today? If you are, knock 3 times, that you'd hear a knock. I mean, that's how active it is. We were in the room they call the John Bender room, and the water came on in the bathroom sink. You could hear it just, everybody kind of looks at each other. And shortly after that, during the tour, as usual, I'm talking, and I had on a pair of sandals. My toes were sticking out, and it was like somebody was taking their fingers and tapping across the ends of my toes. And I start kind of moving around. You know, people are looking at me like I'm crazy, and I said, "I'm sorry, y'all. I'm gonna have to stop my stories." I said, "There is something messing with my feet." It wasn't like a soft brush. Literally, something was tapping on my toes.
Not too much long after that, we're all going to leave, and looked up the stairs, and there was a man standing at the top of the stairs.
I could see the figure and what looked like the back of a man walking up the staircase. It hits you in the pit of your stomach. It's like you can, you know, your chest feels heavy, just like you're off balance.
I looked at her and I said, "Did you see that?" And she said, "Yeah." "Are you seeing what I'm seeing?" I was like, "Yeah, this is not supposed to be here." I had some people come in the house, and a man actually took a photo where I saw the apparition earlier that month. When I saw that picture, It was like tunnel vision. I was focused on the picture, but I didn't want to look at it, and I didn't know what to do. I was in a panic.
When Jenny brought the picture out to show me, even though I had experienced things, I had not seen anything. And it really, it shook me up. Because, you know, for someone that's very skeptical, that always wants the logical reason for something, to actually see that there, it's like there really is something here.
I went to one of the granddaughters of the man who built the house, and she has their photos. And the photo that I had seen looks like the man that I saw on the staircase. And it just blows me away.
I can say that I definitely have learned to be a lot more open-minded. I no longer will make fun of anybody else's ghost story. I believe there are things that you don't want to mess with, things possibly out to hurt you.
I think very differently after having the experiences that I've had in the house. There is something else out there, something that you just don't play around with.